The top story first, it is a big day and a big decision for the Tatas finally calling off work at the Singur plant. After 6 days of not reporting to work, Tata workers are still fearful and intimidated, which has forced Ratan Tata to take that crucial decision of suspending work at the Singur plant for the Nano project. In a statement issued earlier today, the Tatas said that they are trying to work out a different plan and a different place for the Nano. They are looking at other locations, and the work for now in Singur has been suspended. A detailed plan to shift the Nano is currently underway, and it looks like it is goodbye Nano to West Bengal. As of now, Singur project completely in abeyance, and they are not going to go back to work. It was a detailed statement whereby they said they will look at giving jobs and all those positive benefits, but right now it looks like it's over, all over for the Nano in Singur. We're going across to Kolkata as well as Singur. We'll have Bano Haralu with us, but right now in Kolkata we have Arijit Burman tracking all the details of what the implications could be. Arijit, it looks like it's goodbye Nano and goodbye Singur for the Tatas, but a lot of people are also saying, is this posturing by the Tatas whereby they may now see some headway if Mamata Banerjee is under now pressure?
Well, it could well be, because as we believe from our sources, Shivnath, that in the morning the senior Tata representatives met the West Bengal Industry Minister Nirupam Sen, and they made it very clear that work has stopped for the last 3 working days. And what is the guarantee that 3 months or 6 months down the line, even if temporarily there is a solution, will that solution withstand the politics in the state? It's a completely polarized state, Shivnath. So will this status quo, or if there is any, could that sustain over a longer period? That was what was worrying the Tata group. There was a press release that was drafted in Kolkata and was then sent to Mr. Ratan Tata. Mr. Ratan Tata personally supervised this press release that we have, and then he went for the Bombay Dyeing AGM. After the AGM, we believe that he redrafted this press release and made it what it is. It's a very diplomatic press release, but the message is very clear. I mean, look at the heading. It's absolutely stark. Tata Motors suspends work. It cannot be more clearer than that. And it goes on to say that under the present circumstances, it is just not viable to operate a manufacturing plant spanning over 1,000 acres.
Arijit, just to get a sense of what comes next for the left government and for the way Ratan Tata is going to take it forward. One is that Nano moves to an alternate plant. That is pretty much clear. The second, how are we going to see the rollout on as far as the timeline is concerned? Because all this while we have various states luring it. Earlier today in Maharashtra, in Talegaon, at the General Motors inauguration, Vilas Rao Deshmukh again said, I'm willing to roll out the red carpet. So clearly that plan B was always in place. The 4,000 to 5,000 units was pretty much all done, so that the rollout is pretty much on time.
Yes, Shivnath, there is a deadline, which is October, just round the corner. There is a cost factor. It's a 1 lakh car. Considering the input costs have really shot through the roof, this is a very tough decision. But Mr. Ratan Tata is known for taking tough decisions. And mind you, he's also saying in this press release, if push comes to shove, they are going to actually relocate the workers who've already got appointment letters from the Tatas. These are locals that they're talking about. They'll relocate them as well, along with the plant. So here is a responsible corporate citizen who's saying, look, I wanted to do what I had to do. The law and order situation made it very clear that the state of West Bengal and the people of West Bengal do not want us to operate even as a responsible corporate citizen. I'm quoting Mr. Tata from the August 22nd press conference. That's what he said, that the state has to decide whether, despite our leap of faith, they want us as a responsible corporate citizen or not.
Right, Arijit. In fact, let's remind our viewers about exactly what Mr. Tata said on the 22nd of last month. We'll play out now what Mr. Tata actually had to say when he did break his silence on this issue the first time.
If the state, for any reason, or any segment of the state feels that we are exploiting them, First of all, it's totally untrue, but if that is the feeling, we will exit. So that has been my concern.
All right, so we heard there a very emotional chord, in fact, that Mr. Tata touched, because remember, here's a person who is not expected to come out and speak like this, is expected to stay diplomatic, but still chose his words very carefully and yet made a very strong statement. Arijit, coming back to you then, you were there when he spoke, and it completely sort of set the cat amongst the pigeons. But even though we've seen now that there's been about 10 days that have gone by, and in fact, more than about 4 or 5 days where there has been no work at the actual Nano site, would you say that this sort of a posturing that has now been going on the past few days has really yielded no result, and so Tata is run out of options in a sense?
Yes, they have, Siddharth, and mind you, this is coming on a day when a lot of people would argue that some amount of, some solution or some soul searching was indeed being done. Look at how, politically at least, the day progressed. There were at least 3 meetings with the governor, and all these meetings were attended by senior representatives of Trinamool Congress. Partho Mukherjee, the main negotiator, attended all these 3 meetings with the governor. The governor, as you know, from last Sunday onwards, he's playing an active role to be the negotiator, to break the ice, to actually bring 2 warring political factions together to do something which is good for the state. So you had all these 3 meetings. Trinamool Congress yesterday also making a statement that they are open to dialogue. They want the governor to play an active role, and they feel that both their dharna as well as the plant operations can run side by side. The CPM welcomed that statement. The mood was all set that perhaps this would indeed be would break the deadlock. Secondly, towards late evening, the West Bengal Chief Minister attended a meeting with the governor. So 4 meetings with the governor involving the Chief Minister, involving Trinamool Congress. There was a lot of hope, a lot of expectation. There was news that Saurav Ganguly would also move in. He's an employee of Tata Steel. He was expected to start a PR blitzkrieg here in the state, requesting everybody that industrialization and the Nano plant is essential for the state. So all this was happening, and parallelly, then comes this press release, a very calculated press release from Tata's, from Bombay House.
Right, Arijit, just hang in there. Let me go across to Singur, where Bano Haralu is joining us to give us an on-the-ground statement or a situation as to what's really going on. Bano, just to bring you in from Singur, while I'm sure there would be some reason to celebrate for Mamta Banerjee and her cadre, who pretty much wanted the 400-acre back, but they also knew Tatas would be pushed to the verge. What is the reaction coming in from there? And if you can get us a bit of a mood or the sense that you get from the people, how are they reacting? Are they disappointed that they pushed the agitation a bit too far, that Tatas have said goodbye to Singur?
Well, on reflection, I think they will be saying that, but Mamta Banerjee, it's very early moments right now, but we hear that Mamta Banerjee has just announced that it is the Tata's internal decision. But we will expect a more formal reaction to the outcome and to reaction to the press release by Tata Motors. But the mood again this whole day has been, of course, the rhetorics building up that the return of 400 acres to unwilling farmers, and the suggestion that the ancillary unit could come up on the opposite side of the where the Tata Motor plant is located right now on the Durgapur Express Highway. But of course that is not possible, and that is perhaps what might have triggered off Tata Motors to take this decision to move their plant and machinery to another site. Obviously, this is something that they have been saying all along, that there can be no alterations to the plant design and model that they have set up, that the Nano is of course extremely price sensitive, and this is one of the reasons why they had the ancillary units close to the mother plant, and that was the design of the mother plant here in Singur. And they've been watching the situation closely. Remember that this site of the Singur land acquisition has been, Tata Motor has been against the odds right from the start, and perhaps now their patience has just simply run out. It would be a long time again that they would have to wait for the deal to be worked out if they were to move those ancillary units to the opposite side, and then wait for the argument and the working out, of course. But that window of opportunity that we hoped that was going to take place with the governor's intervention is of course now on the back burner.
Right. Bano, just if you could ask your camera person, from the time I was there last time, if you're close to the stage, so is Mamta Banerjee still pretty much posted there. She's not moving out. Are people still gathering around the stage? Are you close to that at all?
No, we are not at the moment close from that side. We have in fact moved away from the Tata Motors side. But I can tell you that for the last 5 days and of course now 5 nights, the Tata Motor plant has been completely abandoned, except for the lights that are showing and protecting the area. And of course the area continues to be guarded by the police personnel who have been posted there ever since the siege began of the Tata Motors site on the 24th of August.
All right, we'll request you both to stay with us, but let's quickly bring in also some reactions for our viewers that we've been bringing you on NDTV Profit, some key voices speaking out and just how they react to news like this, that Tata has finally taken this decision. Let's listen in to what people like Mr. Venu Srinivasan and, of course, Sunil Kant Munjal had to share with us.
Well, the first thing is that it is a state subject. I'm not sure what the central government can do. B, when it involves a company or a group as well known for governance and social responsibility as the Tatas, it is imperative that these issues are sorted out up front by the state government and not allow it to deteriorate into this kind of crisis where Tatas have to put it on hold.
I think this is actually quite sad, and it's also distressing that this situation has allowed to reach this situation, because this is, of course, about the Tata Nano as a project, but I also think there's a larger implication here, is our ability as a nation put in large investments into areas which are not industrialized. So it is a bit sad, actually, that it's reached this situation.
I think insofar as the state of West Bengal is concerned, definitely I think investors would be a little chary for some time. But my own feeling is that Tatas are a big enough company. I think they will find their plan B and get the Nano onto the road as early as possible.
All right, on the political front, what really goes on now? We have to look at how the left parties will take care of all the disputes that will arise once the 600-acre landowners are going to get their land back. But we spoke to Mohammed Salim of the CPM, and that's what his view is, how the left will tackle the Trinamool Congress.
Tata decides to just kick off West Bengal on this project. It's very unfortunate, but one can't blame Tata as a concern, because everybody was concerned and worried because the way the Trinamool Congress in particular, together with some mostly collected Naxalites and other extremist groups, together with some NGOs who are working on the behest of some foreign-funded organizations and some corporate sectors, is very difficult, because the whole purpose of this movement, the so-called movement, was spearheaded by the politicians and NGOs, not by the peasants this time, and just to delay the project.
We were not looking for a victory where Tatas go away. We were wanting the people whose land has been forcibly taken away by the West Bengal government. We just wanted justice for them. Yes, I know the world is looking at us and laughing at us that, do you have something called human rights? I've been traveling in the world and say, this is how you have industrialization, by killing people, by raping people. Is this the way you want industrialization?
All right, Siddharth and Arijit Burman, as well as Banu Haralu, all with us still. Arijit, if I can just go back to you, in terms of the way you've been talking, you've done this special report out of Singur. What was the popular sentiment on the ground? Of course, people do get jobs as well. When we were there, we did see people protesting, the ones who were not getting those contract jobs. How do you see Bengal's industry reacting to the situation?
Well, of course, Bengal industry wanted this project really badly. The Bengal industry, if you look at it, there were players like Exide, which is a very big industrial house. They were supplying the Nano batteries to Singur, not from the ancillary park, but they were supplying it from their plant in Haldia, which is not very far from Singur. Now, what were the people saying? That's the tragedy, Shivnath, that what started out as a land movement, a movement to save people's livelihood, to save people's land, became a political battleground, and the main heroes the farmers who started it all eventually became silent spectators pushed to the background, and politicians coming in and hijacking their cause. That's the sad part. We did speak to a cross-section of farmers, a cross-section of youth. We've been camping there for the last fortnight. It's to be honest, some people, they have indeed given up their land willingly. They have accepted their compensation. Many of their children are now working or were working with the Tatas in the plant. Some of them were trained. It's a 9-month-long training program. But there are many who are still cynical. And they're cynical because there was a lack of communication from the state government and, of course, from Trinamool. Nobody actually, or the politicians or the political class didn't really break it down to the farmers. That's where I felt that there was a complete lack of communication between the farmers and of course, all the other key stakeholders in this particular project.
That's an interesting point, Arijit. Now, Banu, let me bring you into this. You could hear what Arijit said there. The whole fact that this became more of a political circus, politics really overtaking the real issue, if there was one, as far as the farmers are concerned. What happens to the farmers who actually did part with their land, who are happy with the compensation package, and who actually were sort of supporting the project? We're talking about a sizable chunk of land. We're talking about a large number of farmers whose land today is not, of course, open for cultivation either.
Yes, that's right. That's a sizable number. In fact, those were the majority of people who had sold their land. And that was always a question that was being raised. Where are the democratic rights of those farmers? Well, that's been completely drowned in this tirade against industrialization and taking agricultural land for industrialization. That's a question that will, of course, stiffly be with the government here will have to face, as long as the responsibility also will now have to be taken by the opposition if indeed the Tatas never return to Singur and set up that plant again. But of course, the other side of the whole issue is perhaps now there was a moment where Mamata Banerjee was in fact indeed looking for a dialogue, and we have heard on the sidelines earlier that the Trinamool Congress leader saying that if the government had agreed to dialogue, then the logistics of the land that were to be returned to the farmers, perhaps that could have been followed. The logistic, the technicalities could have followed. Maybe they would have not stuck to those demand for 400 acres being returned, those exact plots of land being returned to those farmers. Well, it's all now laid bare now, and really at this point of time, it really needs to be seen whether there can be a dialogue initiated. Of course, the government has also been standing on their stand, saying that it's a Supreme Court verdict, and that it's just impossible for those 400 acres to be returned to farmers or to private landholders because of the Supreme Court verdict, which does not allow public land once bought for a public purpose to be returned to private owners. So really, it's quite a mess, in one word, what's going to follow now with the Tatas having taken this decision, at least suspending work at the factory site.